Hello everyone and welcome back to the good stuff. We are continuing the Morphy saga with another game between Paul Charles Morphy and Samuel Standish Boden from 1858 London. Before Howard Staunton gets ready for his match with Morphy, supposedly. And I still haven't decided how many games I'm going to show between Morphy and Boden, but as long as I find them interesting, I'm definitely going to show as many as possible. So, and two very small announcements. I am starting the AGADMATOR Friday tournaments on Leeches, so tomorrow will be the first tournament. And if you are interested in joining, I will put a link to it in the description below. So it's going to be 7 p.m. Central European Time. It's going to last for 2 hours, 3+0. And also, I'm creating another tournament which will be 1 hour prior to that one, which will be for sub 1700 players. So if you are rated lower than 1700, then that's the tournament for you. As you guys requested, you want one such tournament. So we're gonna do both of them. First the sub 1700 one, then the normal one, and then I'm just gonna be streaming both of them tomorrow, and we're gonna be showcasing your games. So should be a lot of fun. And also, I would like to mention that I have, acquired the first guest for my podcast. I will not yet mention who it is, but you are more than welcome to try and guess in the comment section. It's someone from the chess world. So that being said, let's check out the game. Morphy again opens with e4, we have e5, and again Morphy with the white pieces goes for the king's gambit, so f4. We have bishop to c5, declining it, as Boden already did in the game we've shown. Knight f3, we have d6 and c3 now. Morphy just preparing to bust open with d4. We have bishop to g4, pinning Morphy's knight, and now bishop to c4. Nicely developing. We have queen to e7 and now d4. And interestingly, already as of move 6, this position was never repeated again. So Boden captures it, we have pawn captures, and Morphy often did this. You wanna, as castling was not allowed because of the bishop on c5, so here Morphy gives up some material to be able to castle to safety. So we have e captures on d4, Morphy now just castles, and now knight to c6 by Boden, not being greedy and going for captures with check, king h1, and then captures here, which would fully develop Morphy's bishops, and with the black king being still in the center of the board, would be very hard to play. A modern player would definitely accept such a challenge, but Boden not interested. So knight to c6, now Boden continues development, and now b4. Morphy now continues his expansion on the queen side. We have bishop to b6 and now a4, preparing a5 to trap the bishop here. So d captures on c3. Now freeing up the d4 square, and now comes and this also comes with check, of course. So king to h1, and now here comes c2 by Boden, forcing queen captures on c2. So Morphy does it, of course, and now bishop captures on f3. The idea is that if now Morphy captures with the rook, then knight d4 just forks the queen and the rook, and Boden wins a lot of material here. So instead, Morphy played g captures on f3, and now knight captures on b4, attacking the queen, queen to b3, and a5 defending the knight. So here Morphy really gave up a lot of material. As you can see, it's 7 pawns to Morphy's 5, and it's just everything's all over the place. The king is on h1, the king side completely shattered. But for the moment, there's no actual good way for black to attack the king side. However, this bishop slicing all the way here to g1, if some pieces find their way near Morphy's king, could get very ugly. But Morphy normally just continues development, knight to c3. We have knight to f6 and now e5, keeping the black king in the center of the board for as long as possible. D captures, we have f captures on e5, and now, of course, not capturing with the queen, you have to keep defending the f7 pawn. So knight to h5. And now comes knight to e4. Again, Morphy just starts bringing pieces in front of the black king, and Boden here decided to castle king side, which is a bit odd, as the king does appear to be much safer on the queen side, and also you want to attack Morphy's king on the king side. So I guess Boden thought that his king would be safer on the king side for some reason. But Morphy just continues developing bishop to b2. Now both of the bishops are slicing over to the king side, and now knight to f4 by Boden, and taking up a lot of squares in front of Morphy's king. Now if queen to h4, then already even the queen joins the attack. Maybe the rook can also join the game, and it could be very, very interesting. But Morphy now shows him what it means to play against Morphy. Here Morphy goes rook to g1. He offers the rook, and now probably you should capture it, but if bishop captures, then your rook captures. You still have a rook on the g file, and it's still hard to defend. For example, if king h8, you get e6, opening up the dark square bishop, and now you have to play a move like f6 to block both of the bishops, and it's a really tricky position. But okay, Boden for the moment decided not to capture the rook. He went to rook 8 to d8, but now Morphy finds the very exciting e6, now opening up the dark square bishop. And now the problem is you can't go into the line that we've already shown. The problem is if you go captures now, rook captures and f6, now it doesn't work. f6 is bad here. But even pause the video and try to figure out why f6 doesn't work here, and it worked a moment before, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting that at some point when this pawn is pushed with check, you will be attacking the rook here, which was previously here. So by playing rook 8 to d8, Boden is no longer able to go for this defense, because now knight captures on f6 with check. You're gonna play rook captures, bishop captures, and queen captures now, pretty much only move, and now e7 check will win you the rook on d8 after the king moves king here. You're gonna bring a queen into the game, queen captures, and you get this endgame where Morphy would be up the exchange. So that's why this rook 8 to d8 prevents such a defense. But Boden played it here so he can play bishop to d4 to block Morphy's dark square bishop. And now Morphy goes for e captures on f7 with check. We have king to h8 and now rook to g4, getting the rook out of harm's way. And also perhaps it will be possible to double rooks later on the g file. So bishop captures on b2. This was Boden's plan. Queen captures, threatening checkmate. And now there's no good way to defend checkmate other than to go rook captures on f7 and try and give back some material. Also, knight to g6 is a possibility, but then you get the rook 8 to g1. Slowly white will start pushing, and that knight will not stay there for very long. So rook captures on f7. The engine very much agrees with Boden. It is the best move. Bishop captures on f7. We have queen captures, and now knight to g5 with an attack on the queen. We have queen to d5. Queen to f5 is a little bit better here, but okay, queen to d5 now with the rook queen battery along the d file. But now comes rook captures on f4. Boden said it's not needed to defend the knight, since I can always capture on g5. But that's exactly what Morphy goes for. Rook captures on f4. Okay, queen captures on g5, and now rook to g1, offering the rook here for a nice checkmate on g7. So what do you do here? Queen to h6 was played. Queen to e7 was a little bit better, but well, you know, you can't have everything and always play the correct move. Here Boden defended with queen to h6, but now the problem is that Morphy is able to add even more attackers. Rook to f7 was played by Morphy now with a triple attack on the g7 pawn here. As you can see, Boden defended it with rook to g8, but now rook captures on c7. And now there's not much black can do. Your queen and rook are stuck here guarding the g7 pawn. So Boden played knight to d3, but now Morphy just played queen to d4, and it was in this position on move 30 that Samuel Standish Boden resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. You could, your knight is under attack, you have to bring it back, but now pretty much anything wins for white. You could just grab a pawn here, but even the straightforward rook captures on g7 just wins on the spot, because if you capture with the rook, rook to c8 is mate, since the rook is now pinned, and if you capture with the queen, then of course Morphy would happily win the queen, and then let's say check, rook blocks, and then you pick up the a5 pawn, and black will not have much to go on. It will be a very quick win for white. So after queen d4, Boden resigned, and yet another victory for Paul Morphy in their match. Like I said, I'm gonna I'm still gonna decide whether to show more games between the two of them. As if I decide more of them are interesting, I'm definitely gonna show them before we go to Staunton's next minion, of course, Mr. Barnes, the legendary Mr. Barnes. But we'll see how it goes. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. Do check out the links in the description below. Join the tournament tomorrow. It's gonna be great. I will see you there. I would like to thank Robert Vasquez, Christopher Drake, Peter Mogensen, Sebastian Berg, and Thomas Giannakodimos for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing the coverage of the Morphy saga, checking up on your wonderful suggestions, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.